Alright, FightHype.com here today with Johnny Nelson. How are you today, Johnny?
I'm all good, thank you. What a nice turnout it is. What a good turnout, brilliant turnout.
Yeah, I mean, want to talk briefly about the gloves are off episode. A lot of people are talking about the tension. I mean, you was in the room. How was the tension between those two guys?
I think the tension was for real. It wasn't nice, but it was hypnotizing. You had to be there, but you didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
Understand what I'm saying? You didn't want people to see you were there, but you thought, I've got to watch this. And it was just, it was tense, man. It was so tense. And listen, at the end of the day, each fighter were kind of asked the same questions, and what swayed public opinion is how they answered it. I think how Carl answered it, he was very cool, very matter of fact, very, you know, that's just how it is. George was the one that was struggling to answer it in his calm, collective, smart way. So therefore, it came across not much in his favour. And the public, you know, some people thought I was being a bit biased. I wasn't being biased. I asked a question. It doesn't matter who I think will win or lose. What I think is irrelevant. And it doesn't mean if you think one man's going to win and one man's going to lose, you've got a personal agenda against them. It's not what it means. It just means you have an opinion. We all have opinions.
Yeah, of course.
And that's what makes this so fascinating, so interesting, so intriguing. And that's why when those two were sat there, nobody put those words in their mouth. They did. Yeah. Nobody made them act the way they did. They did. So however it came out, they did it. You know, it wasn't edited to make anybody look bad or good. You just saw how a man answered a question and how a man delivered a question, how a man responded. And so I thought it was pretty even. And it was tricky at times because you thought this is going to kick off. You missed a lot of it. You know, we showed you one section of it because it was just too long. Hopefully they'll put it on the internet or something like that afterwards. But man, it was feisty.
Yeah, I mean, a lot was made of sports psychologist comment. I mean, George is kind of swaying it in terms of he has made Carl in that position where he needs a sports psychologist.
You know what, I think in a way I could kind of agree with George, because unless Carl's been seeing a sports psychologist before their last fight, the reason why he's seeing him for this fight is because of George. It doesn't mean they're discussing George, it means he's seeing him because of what happened in the build-up to their first fight. So you could put it down to because of George, you're seeing a sports psychologist, but it's not about George.
Yeah. I mean, going into the fight, I mean, the first fight in particular, I thought George's discipline let him down, especially in the later rounds leading up to round 9. I mean, going into this fight, people are saying it's a different Carl Froch, but if George Groves learns from them mistakes in terms of getting dragged into a Carl Froch war, he wins the fight.
He wins the fight.
Yeah.
If George Groves boxes Carl Froch how he did against James DeGale, he wins. If this fight goes the distance, he wins. If George Groves at any point in the fight decides to let Carl Froch see the white of his eyes to say it's battle time, Carl wins. And so George has to be disciplined, gets the box on fear, gets the box on speed, box on tact, don't go for glory and think I've got him, I've really got him, and that's when he walks in and gets done. George Groves had to show immense discipline. That's why Carl keeps talking about the championship rounds. Championship rounds are everything, because the last third of a fight is when you're tired. Your mind is just going into overdrive, you can't think sharp tactically. And that's when you make mistakes unless you're used to championship rounds, and that's why Carl is seasoned at boxing at high level at championship rounds, and George isn't. But he has to go through these experiences to get wisdom. So that's why, you know, if George was going to do it, he should have done it the last time. And if he doesn't do it this time against Carl, you know, unless Carl, you know, waits till he's 50, he ain't going to have it again.
Yeah, I mean, the last fight, I mean, the importance of the fast start really set George off. I mean, dropping Carl in the first round, it seemed Carl for the next couple of rounds was very trigger shy. I mean, how important do you think it is for Carl to get at George in the first couple of rounds just to put George on that back foot?
What's important is, it's a gamble for George Groves, because George has got to do one of two things. He's either got to put it on in big style, energy, aggression, everything, to get rid of the man inside 6 rounds. But the gamble is, if he doesn't get rid of him inside 6 rounds, the next 6 rounds he's going to be tired, he's going to be fatigued, he's going to have nothing left. That's the gamble. If he gambles to go the distance, after 6 rounds, he starts to slow down a little bit and Carl can pin him down. That's when it's Carl's territory. So what does he do? Does he go for the inside 6 rounds and put it on him because he's younger, he's faster, he's fresher, he's fitter, you know, or does he try and
more measured
approach to Carl's territory and drag it out? You've got to figure out why would he give a man a chance that hopefully hasn't got one. If I was Carl and George, I'd think jump on him early and get rid of him. Patrick's talked about a Hagler-Hearns fight. That I can see. But I can also see George boxing like DeGale to try and beat him. But he slows down. That's what he did against DeGale. He slows down.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned earlier about the great turnout. I mean, looking at like 80,000 people in Wembley. It's gone to the mainstream media now. Is this the ideal opportunity now to then blood Kell Brook to the mainstream media? I mean, we're talking about he's mandatory for Sean Porter.
Kell Brook's situation is down to Kell Brook. He's got to manage this and he's got to think, right, how am I going to capitalise on the possibility of using this media attention to springboard my career? That's down to Kell Brook. That's down to Kell Brook how he's going to do it. If I was Kell, I'd dog him. I would dog Porter. I would be on his case, but make sure a camera's there, because I can come up to you when the camera's not around and tell you whatever I want. You know, but if the camera's not there, nobody cares. If the cameras are there and I publicly embarrass you into fighting me, you've either got to say, no, I ain't fighting him, and then the public say, why not? Or you've got to say, come, let's do this.
If I
was Kell, I would publicly embarrass him, put it on him in his face. That's what you got to do. Ali used to do it back in the day. Worked every time.
I mean, I was with Sean, you know, in Vegas, and he said he's up for that fight. He said it's in his promoter's hands. I mean, so
that's what I'm saying. But saying that when it's just you and him, that's put it on camera, man. You know, say I'm up for the fight. Let's do this fight. You know, if those two are together, you know, the only person that the public can blame is the promoters. If those two are saying, come, let's do this, and you see those boys dogging each other, you know, then the fighters can't get blamed. And that's what's important.
How do you think Carl fair against Porter?
I think he'll win, but it's going to be a tough fight. A tough fight, believe me. It would have been easy against Paulie, but against Porter, you know, his style actually reminded me of Jazza Dickinson when he boxed Kid Galahad, and it was like an herky-jerky style. He kept jumping in to launch the shots, so it's hard to assess the timing, and he was aggressive with it. So Kell's got to be smart and sharp with it to make this man miss, going to the ropes, pick him off, let him jump into the shots, double the impact. So it can be done. This man is not, you won't look at him and think, wow. You look at him and think, that hurts, but I can beat him.
Just final question, prediction for Saturday?
Saturday night, an insider win for Carl Froch, but I do believe this will be one of those father-son moments where you're at Wembley Arena and, you know, 20, 30 years time, some young kid that's there at Wembley or watch it on TV saying, I saw that fight with my dad, 80,000 people there, it was a wicked fight, biggest crowd we've seen in the UK. Between two British fighters. Andre Ward couldn't pull this kind of crowd, and he's supposed to be the best in the world. You think of one fight you could put in with Andre Ward that would get 80,000 bums on seats. You can't think of one. You've got two guys, George Groves, Carl Froch, that have managed to do this. That's what I call making history.
Okay, thank you much for your time. Enjoy the fight.